Overdosing is just not cool. You don't go down in history because you overdosed. You just die.
Malcolm James McCormick, aka Mac Miller, born January 19th, 1992, died September 7th, 2018. Rest in peace, Mac Miller. Mac Miller was always the likable underdog, the kind of artist you rooted for even if you didn't necessarily run to his music first. He came in wide-eyed, skateboarding through frat parties and rapping about weed, girls, and being young and careless at a time when that energy had a market early 2010s. His early fan base loved him for it, critics not so much. They dismissed him as just another white rapper capitalizing on hip-hop's accessibility. And to be fair, there wasn't much depth in his early work to challenge that. But somewhere between the viral stoner image and the cult classic mixtapes, Mac quietly started changing. He picked up instruments, started producing under an alias, dug deeper into sounds that felt nothing like Donald Trump or Best Day Ever, and for the first time, it felt like he wasn't chasing a trend, he was chasing peace. His music got darker, more thoughtful, more vulnerable, as the party was clearly over, and what followed was an artist trying to put the pieces back together through melody, groove, and quiet honesty. Watching movies with the sound off showed real growth. Faces was a pure release. The divine feminine hinted at love, and swimming felt like therapy. What stunted Mac Miller's growth wasn't just his death, it was the decisions and circumstances that made the ending feel inevitable, from embracing drug culture as a personality trait, to struggling with musical identity for years before finding it, to the industry itself not fully knowing what to do with him. Mac's career is a painful reminder of how fast the spotlight burns out when you're both the product and the person trying to survive behind it. He wasn't a perfect rapper, he wasn't the voice of a generation, but he was honest. And when he finally started creating music that matched who he truly was becoming, not who fans expected him to be, he was gone. This is the Stunted Growth story of Mac Miller, a talented artist who started as a product of the internet era, matured into a serious musician, and whose full legacy will always be unfinished. His life and art both ran out of time, and whether you were a die-hard fan or not, the truth is hard to ignore. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Mr. Creative on IG for this request. It's your boy JC, StuntedGrowthMusic. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Mac Miller was a rapper, producer, and musician from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He began rapping in his early teens and quickly became a local standout, releasing several mixtapes before his breakout project K.I.D.S in 2010. His goofy charm, laid-back delivery, and love for weed made him an instant favorite among high school and college-age fans. In 2011, his debut album Blue Slide Park shocked the industry by debuting at #1 on the Billboard 200, a rare feat with no major label backing. But critics weren't sold. His music was often dismissed as shallow or gimmicky, and the frat rap label stuck hard. Determined to evolve, Mac leaned into darker, more experimental projects like Watching Movies with the Sound Off and Faces, showing clear growth. By the time he signed with Warner Brothers in 2014, he was maturing both musically and emotionally. Still, the baggage from his early image lingered longer than it should have. Stunt number 1, drugs became his identity. From the beginning, Mac Miller didn't just rap about drugs, he lived the image. Early mixtapes like K.I.D.S and Best Day Ever leaned heavily into weed culture, placing Mac alongside the likes of Wiz Khalifa and Currency in the early 2010s stoner rap wave. But unlike some artists who outgrew the phase, Mac doubled down. Smoking wasn't a prop for him, it was a personality. And the problem with building your brand around being the fun, carefree drug user is that eventually the fun wears off, but the dependency doesn't. By the time Faces dropped in 2014, his lyrics were filled with paranoia, depression, and vivid images of substance abuse. Xanax, lean, cocaine. It was no longer just weed. The project was brilliant sonically, but emotionally disturbing. Fans praised the honesty, but few seemed alarmed by what it actually meant. Interviews during this time revealed a Mac who was openly spiraling but too self-aware to stop. He knew he was hurting himself, he just didn't know how to exist without the drugs anymore. Even as he transitioned into deeper, jazz-inspired albums like The Divine Feminine and Swimming, the shadow of addiction followed. His 2018 DUI crash and the very public breakup with Ariana Grande left him vulnerable and exposed. He returned to music sounding more at peace, but emotionally he was hanging on by threads. And tragically, those threads broke. Just 1 month after Swimming release, Mac died from a lethal overdose involving fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol. His drug use was never a side note, it was a character that evolved with him. But in the end, that character overtook the artist. The industry didn't help, and fans often romanticized the pain. But the truth is, Mac needed saving long before anyone realized it. Stunt number 2, no clear musical direction. One of the most common critiques of Mac Miller's career was that for a long time, he didn't seem to know who he was musically. His early work was rooted in simple beats, lighthearted themes, and the kind of rap that played well on college campuses, but lacked staying power. Blue Side Park may have gone number 1, but it was critically panned, with many calling it juvenile or one-dimensional, and they weren't entirely wrong. Mac's rapping ability wasn't elite, his lyrics rarely complex, and outside of his charm, he didn't bring much new to the table early on. That criticism seemed to hit him hard. What followed was a string of experimental shifts, some inspiring, others confusing. He tried dark and introspective on Watching Movies with the Sound Off, drugged out and chaotic on Faces, romantic and melodic on The Divine Feminine, and lo-fi soul-searching on Swimming. While this evolution won him respect as an artist, it also made it difficult to define who Mac Miller really was. His versatility became both a strength and a burden. The lack of cohesion in his catalog made it harder for fans to track his growth. Just when he seemed to settle into a groove, he pivoted again. In the streaming era, identity matters. Artists need a clear lane, even if they evolve within it. Mac's refusal or inability to stick to one direction may have kept him from reaching that next tier of mainstream success. And though Swimming felt like a sound he could build a legacy on, it came at the very end of his life. Mac wasn't lost creatively, he was just arriving too late. And in a business that rewards clarity, his wandering path might have cost him more than people realize. Stunt number 3, death came just as he found himself. By the time Swimming released in August 2018, it felt like Mac Miller had finally arrived, not just commercially, but spiritually. The album was introspective, cohesive, and honest without being chaotic. The production leaned into live instrumentation, his vocals were smoother, and his lyrics carried weight. There was a sense of healing in the music, as if Mac was processing his demons in real time, choosing to fight back. After years of experimenting with sounds and escaping through substances, Swimming felt like clarity, but that clarity didn't last long. Just a month after the album dropped, Mac Miller was found dead in his Los Angeles home from an accidental overdose. It shocked the industry. He was only 26 years old. His death wasn't just tragic, it was frustrating. For the first time in his career, Mac wasn't being judged by his past. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He was simply making music that reflected where he was, not where he used to be. And right as fans, critics, and even the industry began to appreciate that version of him, it was over. What makes Mac's story even more painful is how much more there clearly was to come. Circles, the posthumous follow-up to Swimming, confirmed that. It showed continued growth, deeper songwriting, stronger vocal presence, and an undeniable sense that he was maturing into something timeless. He had finally stripped away the stoner image, the identity crisis, the pressure to be anyone but himself, but his life ended before that growth could materialize into legacy, before he could tour the new sound, and before he could fully escape the shadow of who he once was. Mac Miller was finding his lane, his peace, and his purpose, and just like that, he was gone. The timing of it all is what stunted him the most. All in all, Mac Miller's story is one of growth, tragically interrupted. He came in with a charm, rode a wave of carefree stoner rap, and slowly matured into an artist capable of real emotional depth. But that evolution came at a cost. His early image pigeonholed him, his drug use went unchecked for far too long, and just when he began to separate from the chaos and create something lasting, his life ended. It's hard not to wonder what he could have become. He wasn't the most consistent artist, but he was evolving, and more than anything, he had finally found a sound that fit him. Sadly, the world only got a glimpse of the artist Mac Miller was becoming, and now that potential is forever frozen, unfinished, but unforgettable. Salute, much respect, rest in peace to Mac Miller. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.